state capitol.
Me too.
This is the first time I've ever met a state official. It's really going to be neat to meet the Secretary of State. He'll know a lot about the symbols of Missouri.
Wow, look how big the Capitol is. Do you think it's a symbol of Missouri?
I don't know. That's what we're here to find out.
Look, everybody, there's Roy Blunt. He's waiting for us. This is the first time any of these children have seen their state capitol, and they're here today on a special mission. Their job is to find information about Missouri's symbols to take back and share with their classmates at home. The person they're meeting is Roy Blunt. He's Missouri's Secretary of State. He has a lot of different responsibilities. One of them is to share information about Missouri and its symbols. Secretary of State Blunt is going to take these children on an adventure that will cover the state, and we're invited to come along, so let's go. Right now, we're inside Missouri's biggest symbol, the state capitol building. This room is one of the legislative chambers, the Senate chamber where our state senators vote on all important decisions and laws for Missouri. There's another room like this, only bigger, where state representatives meet. Secretary of State Blunt says that all of the symbols he'll show us today had to be voted on by both the senators and representatives before they could become official. The first symbol he's going to tell us about is the state flag. Listen.
There's a lot of history surrounding our state flag, and it starts with this woman. Her name is Marie Oliver from Cape Girardeau, the woman who made our first state flag. She belonged to a group of women called the Daughters of the American Revolution who decided our state needed a flag. After all, by that time, our state was 87 years old and it still didn't have a flag. Mrs. Oliver spent a long time deciding what to put on the flag. Then she asked a friend to help her paint the design on the red, white, and blue silk that she'd sewn together. Why do you suppose she chose red, white, and blue as the background for the flag?
To show that we're a part of the United States.
That's right. In fact, Mrs. Oliver once wrote that she used red, white, and blue to recognize that Missouri was part of the national government, but at the same time it has local independence and local self-government. We still have Mrs. Oliver's original flag. Here's what it looked like in 1988 when it was 75 years old and in very bad shape. Missouri elementary school students, just like you, raised enough money to have the flag preserved and restored so all of us would be able to see it on display again in Jefferson City.
The governor signed the bill adopting Missouri's first official state flag on March 22, 1913. Remember the organization Secretary of State Blunt said Mrs. Oliver belonged to? The Daughters of the American Revolution? Well, they had a part in choosing another Missouri state symbol, our state flower.
Oh, I know. It's the hawthorn. We learned about it in school.
Yeah, that's right. It grows on a tree, so it's different than most state flowers.
That's right. Now hold on, and we'll find out more.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel. Secretary of State Blunt asked me to do a special report on the hawthorn for you, so you'd know more about our state flower that grows on a tree. First, you should know that you can find the hawthorn all over the state. For my report, I decided to come to Northwest Missouri. All hawthorns have beautiful white flowers in the spring. The Daughters of the American Revolution thought the flower symbolized purity, idealism, and unity. The book I read said the hawthorn is related to the rose. They even have thorns. I also found that there are many different kinds of hawthorn. The state forestry people told me that lots of times people just call the trees haw trees, like the red haw or the summer haw. But whatever it's called, the hawthorn blossom is a beautiful symbol of Missouri. And on March 16, 1923, it became our state flower.
The next symbol we'll see is one of the most popular ones we have, and some say it's because young Missourians like us worked hard to make it happen.
Like us? What do you mean? How could we have anything to do with making a state symbol?
Well, don't forget how much we did to save our state flag.
That's right. Secretary of State Blunt did say we really made a difference.
Okay, now let me tell you the story about how the bluebird became our state bird. There's a story that back in the 1920s, all the school children in the state joined with the Missouri Audubon Society, the State Bird Club, to make the bluebird our state bird. They said bluebirds are symbols of happiness and friends of the farmer because they eat so many insects.
Look, it's so pretty.
They're red, white, and blue too, just like the flag. Mrs. Oliver would have liked that.
The General Assembly thought so too. They agreed with Missouri school children and voted to adopt the eastern bluebird as Missouri's state bird. It became official on March 30th, 1927.
Well, are you having a good time? Yes. Well, it's fun having you here today, and I think next we want to talk about the very oldest state symbol. This is a state symbol that the General Assembly had to decide would stand for our state right after we became a state in 1821. That symbol's the Great Seal. You'll see pictures of it all over the Capitol.
We saw it on our state flag and in the Senate chamber.
That's right. It's a special symbol for me because our state constitution says that my office, the Office of the Secretary of State, should keep the Great Seal.
What do all those pictures mean?
Why are bears on it?
Well, all the pictures have a special meaning. There are 3 bears on the state seal. 2 of them, the 2 grizzly bears, stand for strength and courage. And while there really were never any grizzly bears, we don't think in Missouri, there were lots of grizzly bears on the Missouri River just north of here. And so the people that designed the seal thought it'd be okay to use grizzly bears. And then the smaller bear in the center represents the hardiness and the strength of the early Missouri pioneers. Does anybody know why there are 24 stars on the state seal?
Is it because we are the 24th state?
It is. You're right. Do you know why one of them is bigger than the other 23?
Because to that, they're trying to highlight that we're the 24th state.
That's right. That's right. And the one big star on there represents our state. And there were 23 states already, and our star, the 24th star, is sort of rising up from the state seal to join the other 23, and it's bigger than the other 23 stars.
What are the words the bears are standing on?
Well, those words are in Latin. In Latin, they say salus populi suprema lex esto, which means let the welfare of the people be the supreme law. And more importantly, it means that the motto of our state is for state government to do what's good for people, things like funding education. I want to show you the oldest state seal we have in another room. Well, this is the official Great Seal of the state of Missouri. Really, the seal itself is just this portion down here at the bottom of this device that's made to impress the seal on documents. And that's really why the legislature early on had to come up with a seal, because we needed to be sure that we could prove that things that state government did had really been done by state government. There were no telephones or no telegraph, no way to call and say, is this really an official action of your state? And so the seal gave every document that it was on that official status. Might put a piece of paper in there and just press this seal down and see how it works. Just press it good and tight there, and it will make an impression in that paper. And when you couldn't take that impression out, so when you feel it or when you look at it, you know that it came from the state seal, and nobody but the Secretary of State's office anywhere in the United States is supposed to have a copy of this seal, which is, again, the thing that makes the actions of our government the official actions of state government. The face? Well, the face really isn't anybody's face. It's just something that artist who put this state seal together during the Civil War decided to add to the whole design of the state seal. It's sort of like the masthead on a ship. You know, around that time they always put something on the front of ships that was just there usually for an artistic reason, and this is just to give a design to this very heavy object that holds the seal together. The real seal is the model for not only the seal that we put on paper, but it's also been the model for state seals that you see all over this building and in government, state government buildings all over our state. This design on this seal is the ultimate design for what those things are supposed to look like.
The act describing Missouri's first Great Seal became law on January 11, 1822. Listen, do you hear that music? It's another symbol, one that means more to our ears than it does to our eyes.
The state song!
It's called the Missouri Waltz, and it's one symbol not everyone agrees on. In fact, one very famous Missourian didn't like it at all. It was President Harry Truman. He didn't think it was very good music, and thought our state song should be written by someone from Missouri. No one really knows who wrote the Missouri Waltz. President Truman believed the story that a man from Iowa had written the song. Other stories said a piano player from around Moberly wrote the melody. Still others said the songwriter was a Missouri dancing teacher, or maybe even his mother. We'll probably never know who really wrote the Missouri Waltz, but we do know that it became our state song on June 30th, 1949. A few years after the General Assembly decided on the state song, they voted on our state tree, the flowering dogwood. Let's go to Springfield this time for another special report.
Hi, I'm Matthew. Secretary of State Blunt asked me to scout out some information about the dogwood for you. First off, I found that there are a lot of them in the southern part of the state, but they grow all over Missouri too, just like the hawthorn. Almost everybody says that one of the main reasons the flowering dogwood is our state tree is because it's so beautiful. It's loaded with big white or pink flowers in the springtime, but I also found that the tree's wood is very tough and strong. The textile industry makes sewing bobbins and the wooden shuttles used for weaving cloth out of dogwood. An early colonist used it to make medicine for treating the disease malaria. Just like the bluebird, almost everyone in Missouri loves the flowering dogwood. It's a symbol that some of you may even have in your own yard. The flowering dogwood became Missouri's state tree on June 20th, 1955.
Now, what do you say about doing a little rock hunting?
Yeah!
Okay, hold on. We're headed for southeast Missouri, this time to join my son Andy. He's been investigating the state mineral and the state rock for us.
Hi everybody. My dad told me our state mineral has made Missouri world famous, and he was right. This is what it looks like. It's called galena, and it's heavy. It has something in it that most of us know as lead. Lead is an important product all over the world, and Missouri is a major producer. In fact, we produce almost all of the lead in the United States. Early mining was around Potosi. Now most of the mines are in the southeast Missouri lead district. Many early settlers came to Missouri to mine galena so they could take the lead out and sell it. It's been an important part of Missouri state's economy. That's why galena became our state mineral on July 21st, 1967. On that same day, we also got our state rock. The legislators decided on a kind of chert that's found in Missouri's Ozarks. It's called mozarkite. The mo is for Missouri, the zark is for the Ozarks, and the ite means rock. Mozarkite looks ordinary at first, but when you look closely, you can see how pretty it is. Sometimes pink, purple, green, or even blue. Because of its beautiful colors and the fact that it will polish to a bright shine, a lot of people make mozarkite into ornaments. Mozarkite became our state rock on July 21st, 1967.
The General Assembly didn't vote in another state symbol for quite a few years. Then in 1985, one of the members of the House decided Missouri needed a state insect. He was a beekeeper and thought that the honeybee would make the perfect symbol for the people of Missouri. He said that honeybees are hardworking, make delicious honey, and help all Missouri's farmers by pollinating corn and beans and other crops. That seemed to convince everyone, so they voted to make the honeybee our new state symbol. On July 3, 1985, the governor signed legislation making the honeybee our official state insect.
Does anybody know what the next state symbol is?
It's not the sun because it's the Missouri Waltz.
I don't know what it could be. Neither do I.
It's our state instrument, the fiddle. The fiddle is important to the history of the state and is still enjoyed by many Missourians today.
Where can we hear fiddling music?
Fiddling is heard today at fiddling contests and dances, or it's played just for fun. To the early settlers of Missouri, the music of the old-time fiddler provided diversion from the hardship of pioneer life.
It looks like a violin.
The violin and the fiddle are the same instrument. It's all in how it's played. Now, I call this a fiddle because the music I'm playing is the traditional music of the state, handed down through the generations to our day. There are several styles of fiddling in Missouri, each representing a different part of the state. Now, the way I play is typical of central Missouri. A fiddler in the Ozarks or the northern part of the state might play a little differently, but it's all Missouri fiddling.
The governor signed the legislation making the fiddle Missouri's state instrument on July 17, 1987. Our newest state symbol is something that any of us can go out and find, no matter where we live in Missouri. It's our state fossil, and it's called a crinoid. An 8th grade science class in Lee Summit first proposed having it to become our state symbol.
They did.
Neat! Yeah, they really did a lot of research and asked geologists around Missouri which fossil would be the best for our state symbol. That's how they picked the crinoid. Here's what it looked like when it was alive, over 250 million years ago. It was a sea lily and lived in the ocean that covered Missouri in ancient times. What we find as fossils are really small parts of the animal. Some are parts of the column that held it up. Some are parts of the cup at its top. If you look carefully in the rocks around where you live, you can find your own crinoids and have your own state fossil. The crinoid became our state fossil on June 13, 1989.
Well, you've learned about almost all the state symbols, but I've saved the biggest one for last.
What is it?
It's the state capitol. Let's go back there for a grand tour. I've saved the Capitol for last because it's the biggest state symbol we have in the center of our state government. This is actually the third Capitol building in Jefferson City. The first two burned. After the second Capitol burned in 1911, the people of Missouri decided they wanted their new Capitol to be one of the grandest in the country. You saw a little of it earlier. Now let's take a closer look. Almost all of the material used to make this building came from right here in Missouri. Most of the stone came from the quarries around Carthage. This is the rotunda where all visitors pass when they come into the Capitol. We walked through here when you first came. Look up at the stained glass windows. They have pictures of doctors, teachers, lawyers, and others who represent the people of our state. This is one of two museums we have in the Capitol. They have different displays all the time. Usually one museum is filled with exhibits about Missouri history, and the other exhibits about Missouri's resources. Let's take a look. This room is the House of Representatives Lounge. All of these huge paintings on the walls are called murals, and they were painted by a famous Missouri artist named Thomas Hart Benton from Neosho. He wanted to show everyday people at work, the kind of people who make Missouri such a great state. We're on the third floor now in the House chamber. Earlier we were in the Senate chamber. In these two chambers, our senators and representatives meet to debate and vote on issues of state government. The senators and representatives have their offices on all 4 floors. The governor's office, my office, and other officials are on the 2nd floor. There are lots of paintings all over the Capitol. Most of them represent important people or events in Missouri history. Well, that's a very quick tour of the Capitol. I hope you come back again sometime with your families and see even more. I've been in most of the state capitals in the country and really never get tired of looking at our Capitol.
Wow, did you ever think we learned that much about Missouri?
No, I like the part about the state flag best, about our helping to save it and everything.
Well, I thought the neatest thing was getting to use the Great Seal, just like the Secretary of State does.
Yeah, that was cool.
Everyone's had a great time in Jefferson City, and they have a lot to tell their family and friends when they get home. Let's try to remember each one of Missouri's symbols. There are 12 in all. There's our state flag that we Missouri school children helped restore. Our state flower, the hawthorn, the flower that grows on a tree. Our state bird, the bluebird, a symbol of happiness. the Great Seal that the Secretary of State uses to stamp official documents. Our state song, the Missouri Waltz. Our state tree, the dogwood, known for its beauty and strength. Our state mineral, galena. It's made Missouri famous. Our state rock, mozarkite. Our state insect, the honeybee, maker of delicious honey. Our state instrument, the fiddle. Our state fossil, the crinoid, something we can start looking for when we get home. And our state capitol building, the center of all of our state government. That makes 12 symbols in all, and each one represents some of the special qualities of Missouri's people. That's why we say that Missouri symbols stand for us.